Brodes Media.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on in to the Day After Pod. Now, I'm recording this on a Saturday morning. The game was technically Thursday night, but by the time I uploaded the post-game reaction show, it was Friday morning. Therefore, this is the day after. Does that make sense? It does in my mind. So we're sitting here with a nice cup of coffee, and I figured, why not throw on the old pod, and let's just have some fun and shoot the shit this morning. I joke around a lot about this team's identity being a team that we are going to despise for 85% of the game, but then win. So we need to shut our yap, all right? We need to relax, and we got to realize that they are a good football team that will manage to win no matter what, because Saquon Barkley will not be denied. There is another element to this, though, that I eventually get to throughout the vomit of my shows, but I want to start out hot and heavy with it. And a real reason why they are able to accomplish their goal each week is they wear you the fuck down. They really do. They wear you down. Look at how that offensive line imposes their will by the end. That fourth quarter, go look at the box score and look at how many points is getting blasted into the end zone in the final frame. You just got to keep giving Saquon the ball. And with 20 plus carries, there's no way in hell that he doesn't break through and start to really collect yards, really start to bring it home for the birds. And because your offensive line, Myalata back, which was a big upgrade, Landon Dickerson plays through everything. He gets injured 3 plays into the game. And then here's Landon Dickerson again. Just, looks like he's going through the motions, but he is whooping your ass. The amount of times you hand the rock off to 2-6 and the grind that the defense has to go through to try and stop him with the power of this O-line, it is going to be enough. And more so than just enough. But it's going to be absolutely crushing, soul crushing, if you're the defense trying to compete with that for the length of 4 quarters. Maybe the defense has some answers for quarter 1. Maybe the defense has some answers for quarter 2. When we play out the game in its entirety, by the end, it's so overwhelming, you can't do anything about it. And that's sort of where I fit right now with this football team, or where I stand with this football team right now. And, I heard a lot about this. And let me take a sip of this coffee because I'm holding it and it's kind of heavy. Oh, it's a hazelnut Dunkin' Donuts. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to knock it over anywhere where it's near any electronics. I'll put it off to the side. Okay. I understand why some watched that game and watched a good portion of this season, and they wonder if the quarterback is going to hold them back. You may feel like this team is ready to go fight for a Super Bowl. And with the way the quarterback played on Thursday night, it may stop them from getting there. And I get that. Look, Jalen was bad. And what I'm not going to do is look at one run when he extends his arm to the first down marker and think that that's enough to override all of the struggles and all of the really bad throws. You either get MVP Jalen or what the fuck is this Jalen? That seems to be how this goes on a week-to-week basis. Now, even with those what the hell is this Jalen type of games, by the fourth, similar to the whole Saquon will break through concept, There are times where it's really bad and really ugly, but if he gets an opportunity in the fourth for one play that needs to be made, I do think he does make it. I do think he'll find Dallas Goedert for a monster gain down the right side, even though the fumble occurred and Alcantara with zeros all across the box score somehow has one of the biggest games for this club. He does make it happen. That's not the part I want to focus on, though. The last thing I want to do is diminish the importance of the quarterback, right? I don't want to make it seem like it doesn't matter if your quarterback does struggle and does look weak. I got to be honest, though. I feel so different about it because of how good Saquon Barkley is. And I know it's not normal. From a very broad way of talking about football, is your quarterback elite? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, you can win a Super Bowl. If the answer is no, then you're going to probably come up short. Very easy way to discuss the sport. So this isn't traditional. This isn't standard. This does not fit the narrative for pretty much every single team. But I wonder if it's worth my time getting angry and getting upset about Jalen and if he's holding this offense back, knowing that you have Saquon Barkley. I think he's that incredible. I really do. I think he's that sickening. If you're on the other side of the field, knowing he's just constantly getting the ball and running it down your throat, that may be enough to actually be significant if your quarterback is having an off day. Because this passing game, outside of a few games, it hasn't really lived up to my expectations. I still talk to everybody over at the other station, right, that I worked at previously, and me and Tyrone were texting during one of the games. And I tweeted something out about how it's not really living up to what I think the standard is. And I forget which game this was, but he shot me a text. He's like, dude, what are you, nuts? They scored on their first possession. They kicked a field goal. Then they scored on their Oh, it must have been the Cincinnati game because Cincinnati had the ball for so long. And, but essentially, they were scoring on their possessions, but I'm like, yeah, but dude, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Then the second half happened and that turned the season around and the offense did start flying and the ball was soaring and the numbers in the air were magnificent. But my point is, the passing game hasn't tickled my undercarriage the way that I thought it would when the season began. Quite frankly, this is a defensive-led team. This team is about the defense, and it's about the run game. I didn't think that would be who we are when the season began. Now, to be fair, I don't care how you get it done. I care that you get it done. And if the team starts to blend in a way where maybe it's not what you thought it would be, well, the last thing I want you to do is try and fit a square peg into a round hole. Be what makes sense. And if the passing game is not what it's supposed to be because maybe the quarterback has uncomfortable games, like he could ball. I've been on these pod saying, Jalen Hurts is playing like an MVP again. Jalen Hurts is throwing the rock like a superstar again. And he has that. The problem is, I don't think it's consistent every single week, and I don't think it's consistent half to half. He'll have, you don't deserve to be a starter half, followed by, oh my God, you are the greatest. Wow. Right? That's the second half. They're a second half team. If it happens to fall on a day where we know what we're getting from Saquon in the run game, we know the defense is spectacular, and it's the QB being magnificent, you won't be stopped. If it's a day where the quarterback is you still may not be able to stop this team because of Saquon and the run game and the defense. But yeah, it's not what I thought it would be. But I feel so strongly about the will and determination and the I'm not going to be denied attitude from Saquon that in a weird way, that may be enough. What is the separator, though, in all this is the turnover with Jalen. If he's constantly turning the ball over, then yes, that opens up the door for it being too much for even the running back to handle and the offensive line. I've seen them win those games, though, against Green Bay, week 1, in Brazil, awkward spot to be in. They still found a way then, so it's still very possible. He was bad against the Commanders, but didn't turn the rock over. Low bar. But he didn't put the ball in harm's way. Someone mentioned that on the Anytime Hotline with one of the calls, and I kind of poo-pooed it because, that's not the standard for me. That's not where I reflect back on how my quarterback played, and I said, at least he didn't turn it over. No, it was bad. He was bad. But I will say, him being bad and turning the rock over is significantly worse. But that is definitely what I think can swing this one way or the other, is if he's given the ball to the other team. But anyway, I guess to summarize the 12 minutes of whatever you want to call that segment, I felt like I just rambled. The moral of the story is, the next layer and the next wave of the identity, because we're 10 games in, and it's all about you figuring out what style your team plays. And offensively speaking, this is a team that is held together by Saquon Barkley. And that's why I feel as confident as I do. You could give him the rock in a world where he is set up to fail. All right? There's so many defenders in his face, and he picks up 26 yards. It's what he does. He's almost a get-out-of-jail-free card. Like, I remember when they weren't making sense, but they were winning, and I was getting aggravated because I said, look, I can't sit here and go Super Bowl contender because they're getting bailed out by Saquon Barkley. He's bailing you out. You don't deserve to win. And him and AJ, in a way, are both collectively bailing you out. That's not enough. But now that I see the level that he does it, and the defense is spectacular, maybe him bailing you out is enough. And remember, what I don't want to hear right now is, yeah, but will it work against good teams? You may not think the Commanders are actually good, but in the NFC eyes, the Commanders are one of the better teams. So the nature of the league's bad, the NFC's weak, however you want to phrase it. I don't want to hear after Jared Goff throws 5 interceptions that it won't work against other teams. These other great teams are not as elite as you make them out to be. And maybe the Eagles aren't either. Fine. But if the Eagles aren't that elite, neither are the Lions, neither are the Commanders, neither are any other team that's fighting to get out of the NFC. Hell, at this rate, I'm looking at an opportunity for the Eagles to be the ones to host an NFC championship. And if that puppy's in South Philly, come on, man. Come on. Come on. This defense at home, Quinyon Mitchell, I'm not making this up. Quinyon Mitchell might be the greatest fucking corner to ever live. That's how good he is. He may be the best corner to play in the NFL ever. He's actually starting to get recognition. Pat McAfee show, national attention. I think the league is starting to realize, who's this cat? Who? From where? I actually took a screenshot. I took a screenshot of all the numbers of corners when covered by Quinyon. Terry McLaurin, who's fucking gross, by the way, 0 receptions on 0 yards. CD Lamb, 2 receptions, 14 yards. No quarterback, but still, CD Lamb could get open against a lot of damn corners in this league. Jamar Chase, 2 receptions, 19 yards. And then, by the way, he explodes for 3,592 fantasy points. I know, because I went up against it. Ridiculous. So right after he goes up against Quinyon, now he's lighting the world on fire. Malik Neighbors, 1 reception, 9 yards. Amari Cooper, 1 reception, 10 yards. Mike Evans, 2 receptions, 19 yards. Chris Olave, 2 receptions, 23 yards. Drake London, 1 reception. These guys are filthy. None of them had over 3 receptions. Or none of them had over 2. None of them had 3. These are some of the best wide receivers out there. Jamar Chase can't get 3 receptions against him. He's doing it so beautifully. He may be the best cornerback ever. Wow. Wow. All right, listen, we're going to take your anytime hotline calls, but first, welcome on into the channel. If you made it this far, God bless your soul. You can subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button as well. We break down Philly sports all the time here, and you can also take the show on the road with you by going to your favorite podcasting platform and searching either Brodes Media or Sports Talk with Brodes. It'll pop right up. You can subscribe over there, and if you leave a 5-star rating and a review, it truly, truly helps out. So thank you all so much for the crazy, wild support. There is more ways to get Brodes Media content. You can join the memberships here on YouTube, where we have Coffee with Brodes live streams twice a week, which is 8 times a month. And you also will get access to our Discord channel. So all of that information is down below. Lastly, I promise, drinkgaragebeer.com. That's the most magnificent website to ever exist. Garage Beer's the best. I just wasted my time watching Mike Tyson and, 58 years old, looking like a 60-year-old man, wobbling his knees in the damn ring against Jake Paul last night, and it was abysmal. It was a big waste of my time. But the reason why I enjoyed my time is because I was able to pound back Garage Beer, and it's the best light beer to ever touch my lips. That's right, emphasis on light beer, 1,000% quality. drinkgaragebeer.com. Okay, with that, let's go to the phones and hear from the beautiful people, shall we?
Brodes, it's RD calling from D.C. Driving into work this morning, thinking about that win last night. Offensively, we still got some kinks to work out. Jalen didn't look too good in that first half. Seemed off cue with the wide receivers a little bit, and still I can't put my finger on it, but they just don't look good. Defensively, we did what we needed to do, held in there. Those 2 rookie DBs, they have come in and changed the defense. They've really changed the defense and have us looking like, it's possible. It's possible this year. Not going to have that fall off that we did last year. So let's see what we can do. Go Birds.
I love it, man. Thanks for the call. Yeah, don't forget Zach Bond either. I'm with you. It's all about those two young kids, and it's all about the swag that they bring, and there's no doubt about it that they have energy that is contagious, and it's serious. Yo, they showed a little clip of Zach Bond. Think about this. It's, what, game 10 of the season? This team just wins. They're going to the sideline as a camera crew, and they're blasting Zach Bond on the TV. Who would have thought? Really? Who would have thought that Zach Bond is getting precious TV time as part of the face of this defense? It's miraculous, all right? It's glorious, but it's insane to think that's reality. But they showed us a little sight of him just sitting on the sideline, eyes closed, almost in deep thought and deep preparation for the next time the defense is about to take the field. I couldn't agree more that there are so many reasons to believe that this collapse is not going to be in place. They already powered through that adversity. If it was going to happen, it would have happened earlier. If it was going to happen, it would have happened when they were already down and people were questioning who the hell is this crazy lunatic who is coaching the head coach of this football team, who's coaching this team. It would have happened then. They have already molded something together that works and that can win efficiently and effectively in this league that I don't see that breaking. I really don't. I don't see that cracking. I don't see that folding. You've already established enough where I'm not even worried about the collapse anymore. I've opened up my heart. I told you this game on Thursday would tell me a lot about the makeup of this team, and it will hold so much weight. And they did what this team has become, what this team has become. Like, they did what this team has become as a brand of football, and their defense can win a championship. This defense doesn't allow points, all right? Don't give me that little garbage crap at the end. I love you, Zach Ertz, but don't give me that garbage crap at the end when the game's already over. And this Washington team, if you remember, now it wasn't sustainable, but what they were doing and going up and down the field at a ridiculous, epic rate was crazy. It wasn't sustainable, so at some point the numbers would probably even itself out. But this Eagles defense doesn't give you an inch. And Saquon can get 3,000 inches. That alone is giving me all the confidence. I want to say this too. And I'm uncomfortable, by the way. I'm uncomfortable. But this whole Jalen thing, do you know how strong your team has to be for me to say, put the quarterback struggles to the side? That's never the case. And maybe I get screwed by it by the end. I know Jalen could be sensational, though. I'm not saying he stinks. I'm saying you don't know what you're going to get. He plays elite, but he also plays poorly. It's just not consistent. But when he balls, he balls. And when he struggles, he finds a way to make a couple of plays that are noteworthy that put this team in a good spot to still grind out a win. So even in his bad days, the big pickup with his legs, it's still in there. It's still in there. And that also factors into what I'm saying on how they can win in other ways. Like, I acknowledge that that's still part of the Jalen Hurts experience. I know it's still in there. So it's just super rare to be in a position where I understand that the quarterback is sort of a coin flip, and I'm not necessarily sure what I'm getting on a night-to-night basis, and I feel this strongly about them winning no matter what. That's never the case. So just to put it in perspective on what I think about this defense, what I think about the running back. I mean, saying I think very highly of them just doesn't do it enough respect, you know? All right, let's go to Sean.
Old school NFC East battle tonight. Tough game. Give the Eagles credit for hanging in there and pulling it out. You know, they overcame a lot, namely the ineptitude of Jake Elliott. I think his blood alcohol level needs to be brought into question immediately with the performance that he gave. But it's rare for me, and I think Eagles Nation in general, but let's give credit to Nick Sirianni. I mean, they definitely committed to running the ball, which is the way that this offense has to be managed. I mean, Saquon Barkley needs to be the focal point here. I know Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman cringe at that, but Barkley gets stronger in the second half, and eventually he gets things done, and that happened again tonight. And speaking of channeling their inner Sirianni, Dan Quinn not kicking the field goal in the fourth quarter with a chance to take the lead with under 10 minutes to go, I think, at that point. Don't really understand that decision. Finally, in closing for me, I brought up the Eagles needing to re-sign Zach Bond. Shit, Howie Roseman needs to get the blank checkbook and pen out for Quinyon Mitchell. What this kid is doing is unbelievable. We've seen Terry McLaurin have halves where he's gone for over 100 yards and multiple touchdowns against the Eagles. This kid totally shuts down an entire side of the field. Pay the man, Howie. Pay the man.
You don't got to worry about that. Listen, that's Howie Roseman's first-round draft pick, and we've been screaming for a corner for quite some time. He's going to take all the praise in the world for that selection, and he'll get paid when it's time to get paid. Don't you worry about it. The Zach Bond thing is going to be interesting, though, because I heard a couple of, NFL expert analysis guys and whatever. They're just kind of talking about what Zach Bond has meant to this defense, and, some of them wonder if Howie Roseman feels the need to jump on this opportunity to keep a linebacker in here like this, or you just kind of wash your hands. What is it? Lather, rinse, repeat. All we do is find guys like this anyway. TJ Edwards, gets paid. Zach Bond, he'll go get paid. You just keep replenishing and you find the next guy because they clearly have done that enough. And you found Zach Bond, so why can't you find the next one? And I feel like you're playing with fire, right? At some point, if this season didn't have Zach Bond and it was Nate Gary in there, and let's be honest, I mean, the chances that you get someone who can play as great as Zach Bond isn't very high. So I think it's time to lock in a linebacker and say, let's kind of build within this. But, we'll find out. But, yeah, Quinyon. Don't you worry about Quinyon. The Nick stuff's real, though. I think giving Nick Sirianni a ton of credit is in play here. They win. They win, and I actually heard a clip of him, I think it was prior to the Cowboys game, of him motivating the team and what it means for this team to kind of to come together as one. And most of the times I hear him speak to the team, I cringe. And I say, really, dude, that would never inspire me. For the first time in my life, I actually heard a Nick Sirianni pregame speech that I had goosebumps. And me saying that should mean the absolute world. The absolute world. For Nick Sirianni to actually say something that would motivate me, I never thought I'd see the day. So in his role, I may question his timeout usage. I may question what he's doing with the score at times. I mean, you can, I don't want to confuse myself with how the back end of that game went, but, thinking about the possessions and then the 2-point conversion with the Commanders late, and did they play everything right? And the timeout at the first part of the first half, that was a disgrace too when he used his timeout. I may question all that stuff. I don't think he's got good in-game feel, but he is definitely someone in theory who is motivating the men. And for the first time I saw a clip that motivated me. He's been here for a long time. It's the first time I've seen it. So maybe I'll hold on to that and say there's something to it. All right. Listen, they're winning under Nick. I'll shut my mouth on that. When you win, I don't complain about that stuff. When you lose, that's when I start to maybe dig deeper. But I wanted to bring up one other point there. Oh, the defense. Okay. For a while, I wondered what we had in Jalen Carter. And I went, it's not where it needs to be. It's not. We were promised something different. Okay. Let's note, we are getting something different. There is clearly a connection between how he wrecks the interior and why we're getting the excellence that we're getting. Quinyon, Bourne, DeJean, they all play their roles. Jalen Carter in the interior, we have something different. And I watched it my whole life with Fletch. I watched it when they had Javon Hargrave next to him. I know what it means when you have someone that, puts the interior O-line on their heels within seconds and you blast right through. It wrecks the entire play from the moment the ball is snapped. Jalen Carter is starting to become one of the most feared defensive tackles in the league. So think about this. We have a corner that could be the best corner ever. I'm going to stand by that too, by the way. Best corner ever in the history of the sport. And now a top defensive tackle in the league. You start there, you're in good hands. And for Quinyon, by the way, to rock 2.7. I appreciate that. As a Malcolm man, as a man that looks back at the Malcolm Jenkins era, and there was something special to me when you saw that number, when you think about that hit in the Super Bowl, there's something special about 2.7 in my heart. And the fact that Quinyon gets to rock it, that puts a smile on my face. There's respect that goes into that number. All right, so listen, I appreciate all you guys hanging out with me on this Saturday morning, a little different and unique for a day after pod, obviously with the Thursday night game. So it's a little bit different of a week, of course, but, we'll continue to talk about our football team and prepare for they play Sunday night next, right? Their next game is Sunday Night Football against the Rams in L.A., so that'll be a doozy. But we got all week to prepare, and we'll talk about that amongst other things with the Flyers and the Sixers and all of that good stuff. So thank you all so much. I love you more than anything in the world. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you all on the next one.